Pinch Punch, first of the month, and White Rabbits. I think we've got all our bases covered there. Welcome to the midweek Daily Rundown with me, Dan Morfitts. This is the show on Channel 7 where we look at some of the day's big talking points and some little bits you may have missed too. Now, things up for debate on this DR, I'm going for an acronym for Daily Rundown now.
Right.
Like Partridge.
Yeah.
Includes drug driving, decision fatigue for GPs, and the cowl bringing out the dead. Plus, we'll talk lip syncing, not in a Hong Kong movie style, but somewhat more musical. First though, it's time to introduce the guests helping me wade through it all. He's the thought assassin who is nimble with his fingers, artist and stand-up comic. It's Mike Milling.
Hi.
Thank you for coming back.
It's a pleasure.
Thought assassin. I like that.
Yeah. Thanks.
And she's the barrister who was in Alan Bleasdale's GBH, which is available now on All 4 and DVD. Do you get any royalties for that?
I think I should.
Yeah, you should.
I think I should.
You're really in it, yeah. I watched that.
really in it.
I watched that when I was a kid. I remember the Robert Lindsay one.
I was the one that he says, Booker Teddy.
Right. I haven't seen it for a long, long time.
Watch episode 1. That's when I make my introduction.
Wow.
Can't believe you said when you were a kid.
Well,
right.
Sorry.
Yeah, I missed that. I missed it.
Well,
sorry.
Yeah.
Welcome back, writer Isa Torre. Thank you for coming back.
Thank you.
Now, if you want to get involved with the show and have your say on anything we chat about tonight, please tweet us at The Daily Rundown. Go on, we dare you. You can also follow us there because it would be a wasted journey on Twitter if you didn't click that little button that said follow. Right, time to look now at our first story. Figures given to BBC Radio 5 Live showed that there were almost 8,000 arrests last year for drug driving in England and Wales. The numbers are from when the new legislation was brought in covering legal driving limits for 17 illegal and prescription drugs. Under the old laws, police had to show driving was impaired by drugs to prosecute. Those caught face a minimum 12-month driving ban with up to 6 months in prison and an unlimited fine and a criminal record. So is this going to be as big a problem as drink driving is?
It's difficult to say, isn't it?
You're a barrister. I'm guessing you get cases for drink driving sometimes in front of you.
Well, yeah, I've seen drink driving cases. When I was training, yeah, they usually come in batches in the mags, and they just kind of run off like that. So it will create a lot more cases. That's true.
Any drug driving cases?
I haven't seen any drug driving cases. No, I haven't. But I think it is good that they have got those, prescription drugs on the list, as well as kind of illicit drugs. I do think that that it's worth having that.
Well, there can be, of course, as much impairment from prescription drugs given by a GP or a doctor in the best of wishes and circumstances as illicit drugs, like you said, of cocaine, speed, ecstasy, marijuana.
Yeah.
This drug driving problem, have you been aware of it? Have you seen it? Do you know how to, not flout the law?
I have actually. There's been a bit of a push within the media. There was these new radio ads about like how they were on top of it all of a sudden. They were a lot, alerted to it now. So I think it started to be pushed a lot more in the media, particularly, and there's other things with legal highs as well now at the moment.
Well,
there's a lot,
now illegal.
Yeah, exactly.
Highs.
And so they're in the media now. And so I guess it all links in. It's good that they're showing, that this, obviously,
there's a problem,
and
that they're trying to address it. Yeah, absolutely. Because there was a time when people used to, smoke the marijuana, smoke the weed, get in the cars, and think nothing of it, because they knew that there was nothing that anybody could do about it. So I mean, it is good.
I think there was almost an attitude before in that, drink driving's become demonised, thankfully, through the media, and just through society over years. And then people thought, well, I'm not drink driving. I'm just having a quick spliff, or I'm only having half a tablet. Or when it comes to prescription drugs, well, I've been given these by my doctor, so they're good for me. And then getting into a car. And so the fact that they can now prosecute with very, very sophisticated tests now, rather than just saying a driver's impaired by drugs. This has got to be just a good thing, hasn't it?
There are different. I guess they have to understand that there are, different drugs have different effects on people, and there is a big difference about getting taking a load of Class A drugs and just smoking a spliff, and then driving. But I guess it's going to take time. I think drink driving took time, even though that became, there was still, even when it was
took a generational change more than anything.
It did. And even when it was a massive thing all in the media, there's still, again, as you say, maybe older people, the drinking in the pubs. My mum was a barmaid, still is, and she were country pub, and there were stories in the past of a lot of her people, they'd have a few drinks and then they'd think it's okay just to drive back home.
Yeah, I remember
it was a
that.
bit more of a casual thing that people did.
Or they used to think, you can have one or two, whereas now it's just a no-no.
Yeah. But with that being a generational thing then, of that older generation thinking, I've had to, I'll be fine, and now we know it's not. Surely it's our generation, we're all in our 30s. We're all of that age that we've been around drugs. Maybe the generation before us haven't. So it's our generation now that have that possible problem with drug driving. And with a few drugs that aren't Class A's or Class B's, if you have marijuana for personal use, you're not going to get arrested immediately nowadays. So because of that, do people think, well, I can have a spliff and then ride off in my car? Is it going to be one of these things like, I'll have half a pint, I'll have half a toke and then drive off?
Well, the thing is, I don't drive. One of the main reasons was I was always a bit of a drinker, and I never really trusted myself that much. I never really had the desire to drive, so I don't actually drive. But
are you one of those people that everybody drives around?
Yes, that's me. But as you say, in my youth, I probably made some bad decisions in getting in cars with possibly people that I should. Well, that sounds weird. Shouldn't have gotten into cars with. Under influence. You know what I mean? And I probably. But I think back in the day, I would have made a distinction in my mind between someone who was blind drunk and someone who'd had just smoked a spliff, a marijuana cigarette.
What was the distinction? What was the distinction you make?
I would think that was, there was, a big difference in how controlled they would be behind the wheel.
So, and what would the conclusion be that you
I would
came
think
to?
that someone who'd smoked a little bit of marijuana would be a lot more capable to drive than someone who'd had a few drinks.
But like you said, different people react differently.
Exactly.
The same to alcohol.
Yeah. So there could be someone who's had a few drinks and it's fine, but then someone who's had a bit to smoke and reacted badly.
I love it when Isa gets the barrister again. So what conclusion are you drunk?
I thought it was going down there.
I think that is the interesting thing. People are going to find their own tolerances and try and use it as an excuse. But surely with drink driving, and we're getting to the point now of a zero tolerance attitude and I think most people would welcome no milligrams of alcohol in the blood system. Surely the same's got to be for drug driving. If you're taking prescription drugs or recreational drugs, either illegal or for your own personal use, surely you should then not risk your own life and, more importantly, other people's lives by getting on the road under the influence of any even small amount of drug.
Just makes it, even though I'm talking about different distinctions and that should obviously. It's a no-no. There should be a blanket ban on a blanket, illegal. It shouldn't be allowed.
I think that's going to be the tough one, and the police do have a very hard job to do this. They can't stop people on spec, because drink driving, when we see people drunk, it's an almost obvious thing on the road. Although driving nowadays, you can never tell. There's more erratic nature to it, but drug driving, what is it going to be? Someone who's just, for want of a better phrase, slightly spaced out and only doing 20
really
on a motorway.
Well, or slumped, starting to slump.
We're laughing, but it's serious.
I seem to remember George Michael, wasn't he arrested a couple of times because he was high on marijuana? He kept crashing his cars into...
He drove into a Snappy Snaps.
Yes, and another time he was just slumped behind the wheel. I'm sure there will be signs that people are under the influence of some kind of, or mood-altering drug. There must be, otherwise it wouldn't be stopped and tested.
I believe as well, George Michael once fell out of a moving car on the M4, and I've
Yes,
got no
yes,
idea
I
to do
remember
that.
that too, yeah.
Talking about pop stars, we know the demons of drink driving. We know the demons of drug driving now. What about someone like Brian Harvey from E17?
I was about to say that.
Who drove under the influence of baked potatoes.
And he
Ran himself over.
Yes, he ran himself over.
That's, if we're talking...
It's an achievement.
And we're, of course, it's a slightly bit of a news show, but a bit of a light-hearted look at it. Drink driving, bad. Drug driving, bad. Baked potato driving.
Yeah,
Terrible.
Really
it
dangerous.
Yeah, I think people should really think about that and the consequences of eating too many wedges or baked potatoes or any sort of potato product.
Anything with heavy carb intake
Yeah.
could lead you down a garden path or maybe your own front driveway as you hit your own slumbered body. It's going to be one of these things that we're going to see more and more of this in the press. This is only the first set of statistics that have come out since the laws changed. So what do you think is going to happen in the next 5 years? Do you think drug driving is going to get the right vilification in society that drink driving's now got, the same status?
Who knows? We can only watch the space.
There has, as I said before, there have been several there's been a big drive in radio adverts for it, and that's really hitting at the source, because when you're driving, and then suddenly if you're on this, and then you hear an advert for it, then and so hopefully then the media will get more and more, and hopefully it'll be a bigger thing like drink driving is.
It's good to know that somebody's listening to radio adverts. I used to write them.
Yeah. Oh, right. It's you.
That's it was me.
Oh.
Just the bad ones though. Right, that's the end of part one of the Daily Rundown. Still to come, renewable energy and how us Brits are rubbish at generating it, and you have a 20-minute Trump warning. Sorry about that. Get the kettle on and the three of us will be back in just a few minutes here on Channel 7. Don't go away.